City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. Hello and welcome to City Spotlight. We continue to look at things affecting our communities, from Marshall to Taylorville and Arthur to Effingham. We're wrapping up Season 3 here on City Spotlight. We're going to take a look at Parts 1 and 2 of Effingham in Focus. In Part 2 of this show on Effingham, Effingham Mayor Jeff Bloemker, Craig Neilson of the Effingham Regional Growth Alliance, Kent Probst of the Effingham CEO Class, and Mike Wente of the Construction Trades Class discuss what impact the CEO and Construction Trades classes will have on Effingham and Effingham County moving forward, plus potential growth and obstacles for Effingham's economic development in the near future. Thank you for tuning in to City Spotlight, and now Part 2 of Effingham in Focus. A roundtable discussion here, questions I have posed here, any one of you can answer and jump in and have a nice little conversation here on the set here at WEIU. We finished the last part of the program talking about the CEO and construction trades classes and the impact it is having on students in the county. Talk about these two programs, gentlemen, and what their effect might have on Effingham businesses moving forward.
Well, I think you'll find that the CTEC program and the CEO program are not in competition with one another. We do attract different styles of kids, yes, and that's fine. But the ultimate goal is to educate these kids and to put them into the business community, to develop that relationship between the school and the business community, the kids, the youth, and the business community. And the ultimate goal is to bring them back. You know, we've been around a few years, and we now have alumni that are legitimately starting businesses that have brick and mortar businesses within Effingham County. So we are bringing them back. We're bringing them back that work within and are viable parts of many businesses. And construction trades is going to be that way in a couple years. And it's going to be a good complement of each other and not a competition to each other.
Why are these classes needed in Effingham? Why now?
Well, I'll answer that from the perspective of the Effingham Regional Growth Alliance. If you're wanting to start a company or you're looking to expand your company, you look at communities around the country, you want to see what their K through 12 and what their high school students are going to be heading for. These two programs are exceptional. I mean, at any level that you can take a look at. So, you know, when I'm talking to industry, I promote both of those programs heavily because that's where they're going to find some of their interns, some of the kids that are going to grow through their program and ultimately expand their businesses and ultimately then expanding Effingham.
I feel I have with my CTEC class, I have an advantage over Kent with CEO. Okay. Most of those children are going to go to school, college somewhere, 2-year, 4-year program, and they're going to be exposed and distracted. We're trying to take our kids right out of our program and put them right into the community. So a quicker process, and I hope to have a higher success rate. But I hope we all achieve, we all strive for 100%, right. But we have somewhat of an advantage, as far as bringing kids back to Effingham. Ours hopefully aren't going to leave.
Mike, you had told me a story about a recent project that some of the students had worked on, building some kind of a structure. If you could tell us that and a little bit about that project for them.
The kids get out, but some of the classroom time we spend in a lecture type thing, but then they're also hands-on building. We have such a wide variety of experiences coming to us in this class. We have kids coming off a farm who can do anything. They can fix anything. They're familiar with tools. I mean, they can do anything we need to do in the class. And we have other kids who haven't had that experience. And it's really nice because they will help each other, throughout the course of the class. Got distracted there.
Another thing that you had told me about, and thank you for telling that story.
Oh, the construction.
Yeah. You had mentioned that some of these jobs in Effingham aren't going anywhere. They're not exportable. If you could maybe elaborate on what you meant by that.
Yeah. Well, these jobs aren't. We need construction. We need stuff built. We need brick and mortar constructed in our community. And we can't do that elsewhere. We can't import that. We can't buy a building in Hong Kong or even in California and bring it back and erect it. This has to be done. These skills are required on site, and we need to have them there. We need to have them available to build the community, and we need the community to grow to provide jobs for the students, for the people in the trade.
All right.
You ask about the construction. During the class, we do build it's about an 8x8. We're going to turn them into storage sheds. We hope to auction them off at the end of the class, get enough money for materials for the next season, for the next class. But they do have plumbing roughed in, they have electrical roughed in them, they have HVAC, windows, doors, roof, masonry on the outside. It's a house, but it's confined to like an 8x8 structure. And but all the aspects you would find in a home, most of them in home construction, are taking place right there in that big doghouse, so to speak.
Kent, you told me something interesting, that you're pretty much been in Effingham for the majority of the time. You said that this program has changed the way you've looked at Effingham County. Why do you say that?
Well, as a young person, you always want, okay, your hometown doesn't have near as much. There's always something better. Okay. Well, when I went to college, I realized that Effingham needed to be my home. Effingham County. I graduated, I taught a semester somewhere else, and I've been back in Effingham County. So that's what we want to instill in these kids. Mike's kids, they're going to leave high school, and majority of them go right into the workforce. A lot of my kids will go off to school. Okay, we want them to have that taste of Effingham. That it's this place where, okay, go find yourself, get married. When you're ready to have kids, and those kids are going to go to school, we want to have good schools, and we want Effingham to be their place where they land.
And what I've heard on this program about other communities that are going to get started, or in the case of Christian County, they want the hometown kids to come back. Talk about why that is so important.
Well, we want our kids because like Craig said, it's the workforce. It's the pride in where you live, and you want your community, you want your county to be better. And Craig is new to the area where we're not. We know our workforce locally is a very high quality workforce that has a discipline, that Mike's kids are there at 7 o'clock. My kids are there at 7:15, dressed up, ties, girls dressed up very nicely, very professional. So it is a business class, and they have to buy into that.
Yeah, and I'll just add that that puts a responsibility on the community as well. We're building this kind of momentum so that we get them back to the community. So what does a young person or a young family want in a community? They want Trek. We have Trek. They want some restaurants. They want good school systems. They want a sense of community. So some of them want to own a home, some of them don't. And so in any small town across the country, you're going to find a lack in good multi-housing projects, only because for a developer to go into smaller communities, the return on their investment needs to be there. So we've had some really good dialogue with the city about some new projects that really make it enticing for them to come home, not just because they want to, and they do. They really, really do want to come back and be a part of our community, but we have to give them a community that invites those types of people back.
Jeff, I want to ask you, you're native of Effingham, and the comments of Mike and Kent, they've mentioned, one of them mentioned to me that, where was this program when I was growing up? So,
That's right.
So what do you think about what these two programs are doing right now?
Well, I'm just, I and really everyone in Effingham, but at City Hall, we're just as proud as we can be of these men and their cohorts and the collaborations they represent. It's an absolute blessing for myself and any of the other mayors in the region to be able to lead communities that have this kind of energy and this kind of vision. It's amazing just to be able to stand back and watch them gyrate and make things happen. It's a real blessing. We're just as proud as we can be of them.
We talked a little bit with Craig earlier in the program about the economic landscape of Effingham. Let's talk a little bit more in depth, the variety of businesses in Effingham. Well, do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, again, one of the reasons that we hired Mr. Neilson was we're a little bit stuck. We enjoy a very high retail sales tax generation there in Effingham, and we try to use that wisely, and we enjoy it, and we don't see that going away, and we try to leverage it properly, and it will continue to blossom and grow, and we want to foster that growth appropriately. But it's been quite some time since we've brought in a good industrial employer, a manufacturer, and of course a lot of that is tied to the challenges that the state of Illinois has been going through, and of course Mr. Neilson has discovered that firsthand what those hurdles are. But I think that the fact that the community has been willing to invest in come together with the Regional Growth Alliance, invest in somebody with Mr. Neilson's talents and network, says a lot about where we're trying to take. We're trying to diversify. We've got to target industrial, the industrial base. And we know that, and we know we have hurdles because of the challenges in the state, but we feel like with people like Mr. Neilson on board, we're going to enhance our odds quite a bit.
One section of Effingham's business climate is the long-standing businesses, and that one of those areas is the large number of construction contractors that they have. My father-in-law is a HVAC guy who's been doing it for a very long time, and to hear about these specific skills that are being exposed, and also the ability to be taught. Talk about those large number of contractors Effingham has.
Well, I think that lends itself to the growth that Effingham has seen over the past, let's say, 40 years. And of course, much of this is tied to the interstate. But you've just seen we had in the old days when I was growing up, you had big printing plants like World Color Press and Fetter's room air conditioners and washers and dryers and so forth. And those big manufacturers helped enhance residential growth in Effingham, and of course that lent itself to restaurants and retail and so forth. And so that's where a lot of that those contractors came up through that particular environment. But again, that's kind of stalemated, as is the case in many communities. And again, this is why we're showcasing the talents of these folks, and it's an area we have to focus on. And an interesting thing that Mr. Neilson has kind of the epiphany he's had since he's been here in Effingham is that, or in the Effingham area, is that we need more residential opportunities, rental properties and so forth. And so he and his group have kind of decided, we've got to focus on this now. I can't go out and bring any industry to this area until you get your residential issues taken care of, and I'll let him address that.
You had mentioned, Craig, about the number of workers in Effingham. The population doubles, the workforce doubles to over 22,000. But you also mentioned that, as Jeff just said here, 1 out of 2 of those people, those are commuters that are coming from elsewhere. So people are,
Yeah, we do a commute, a 25-minute commute, a 30-minute commute. People do that all the time. But people, if they don't have to do it, they would prefer not to do it. And right now in the city of Effingham, we don't have areas where they're, I guess you would say, neighborhoods that all they are young families with young kids, where Johnny can run across the street and play with a friend over there or go over here. We have an eclectic, older folks living next to younger folks, and it's great. I mean, we do have a sense of community in the city of Effingham. We really do. But to say to someone who hasn't been in Effingham or hasn't grown up in Effingham, come to Effingham, we need to create the things that they want. We need to create those neighborhoods. We have to give them a good opportunity for renting a nice apartment, because many millennials don't want to own a home at this particular time. They'd rather invest their money in something else and rent something. So we need to give them that. And it's hard to do that in a small community, but we have created some avenues through a joint effort through the city and through the Effingham Regional Growth Alliance to start moving forward with those types of things, and some single-family home opportunities as well. We're really looking at that, which will bring the industry that will take advantage of this hardworking workforce.
You touched upon some of Effingham's strengths earlier in the program. Variety, local businesses, long-standing businesses in Effingham. Something that I've touched upon with Jeff on previous episodes of City Spotlight is Effingham's entrepreneurial spirit. Any of you three gentlemen here, what is the entrepreneurial spirit of Effingham in your words?
It's the desire. It's that innate motivation to create something new. Whether it's a young man who is a CEO graduate who saw a need for a lighting business. Okay, that in Effingham County we really only had one place to buy residential lighting, so he has opened a residential lighting store, a brick and mortar building, and it's just amazing. And it's that desire. It's like, okay, what can we find that Effingham could benefit from? What could I benefit from as an entrepreneur?
Personally, I don't think you can ignore the ethnic origin of the Effingham area in terms of the role that the German influence has played in this, because you've got the agrarian background, the hardworking agrarian, but then you bring in that German element, and the Germans are very, very stubborn. I mean, you got Wente, Probst, Bloemker, and I mean, and we're just a small sampling of the German families that moved to that area. But I don't think you can discount the influence that's had on these are people who are willing to take chances. They're frugal. They're very hardworking, and those all play into that entrepreneurial dynamic. So I think there's something to we don't talk about it that much, I don't think, but but I do believe there's something to that German ethnic origin.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. Another thing we don't talk about, which is something that if someone comes to Effingham, they're going to see a great effort in the philanthropic area. I mean, we have people that give and give and give and just create, these programs wouldn't have started without people giving, not only the city, but business people,
Right.
and a variety of people around the area. I mean, that's one thing that drove me to Effingham. It was because in addition to being successful and making money, that wasn't their main goal. Their main goal was to help people with these businesses. And the philanthropic effort is great in the city of Effingham.
Thank you for your comments about the entrepreneurial spirit of Effingham. Craig, something you had mentioned to me and talked a little bit about one of the obstacles that Effingham has to overcome is the state budget of Illinois. You kind of described it as being like in a foreign country. Can you talk about that obstacle?
I've done business around the country, and there are businesses that locate within states where these states go out of their way to do everything that they can to push the hurdles aside so that you can go there. Anywhere from giving away free land with a variety of tax incentives. The state of Illinois, based on the way that it's put together right now, has a number of statutes that really are inhibitors for businesses to come here and enjoy being within the state of Illinois. Now, we have companies in Effingham that have been homegrown, and I am sure that they are touted and pursued by a variety of other states a number of times. They're not leaving. They're here because of all the reasons we've talked about today, and they pay more to be here in most cases. So I think that we have, you can talk about right to work, you can talk about enterprise zone and how they're limited around the state. You can talk about a variety of different things, taxes in general, workman's comp. All of those things need to be looked at and reevaluated and put into perspective as it relates to other cities and other states that really attract business on a regular basis.
The last couple of questions here before we get your final comments on this program here. We'll talk about what you said, Craig, as Effingham is kind of a go-to destination. They have a lot of long-standing businesses, entertainment, as Jeff has talked about, Effingham Performance Center. The Workman Sports Complex has been over a little over a year now, and I got to see that firsthand. Talk about Effingham as a go-to destination.
Well, as a go-to destination, if you come to Effingham, you will see everything that we've talked about. You'll see it in the workforce. You'll see it, you go to the Workman Center, it's wonderful. You talk to business leaders. You go to any event there, you'll enjoy it. It's a location where if you're going to raise a family, you're going to get the kind of values you want your family to have. And we just encourage, if anybody's looking for business opportunities, school opportunities, look at Effingham. Let us show you what we have.
Very good. Thank you very much, Craig. And lastly, Jeff, You mentioned to me Effingham is innovative, thinking outside of the box right now, and it's represented by these three gentlemen that have joined you tonight, their organizations and the work that they're doing. If other communities are watching this program here tonight and they want to do something to the degree that Effingham is kind of doing it, it's success for this region, as you talked about, and which could be also success for the state of Illinois.
That's exactly right. We like to think in Effingham County anyway that it's not just the city of Effingham that needs to be successful, or just the county of Effingham. We need the entire region. We need Shelby County and Coles County and Jasper County, and we need this entire region to be successful. And so there are several other cooperative efforts that do reach out beyond Effingham County, and we try to support those and be involved with those. And again, I love the opportunity that you've given us to come in and showcase the efforts that these collaborations have put out there, and the innovative thinking that they're doing, in hopes that maybe some other surrounding communities and surrounding counties see something that they feel like they can latch on to and maybe be successful, because they can be. These gentlemen and their cohorts have proven that you can do it. You just have to take that step and put your shoulder to it and keep moving it forward.
Another mayor from another community that we've had on the program talked about, yes, you would like to have that big box retailer come to your community, but if they don't, you want to see it stay in Central Illinois, because that's a win-win for Central Illinois.
Yep.
Gentlemen, your comments have been great to this point. I'm going to kind of give you guys the final word here as we wrap up the program. We're going to start with Mike and work our way toward Jeff. Any thoughts you have at this time? You want to maybe reiterate something that you said, or something you'd like to leave us here with the program here at the end? Mike?
I do. We're talking about keeping students at home. And one of my observations, and it's so simple, we take these kids out, and Kent CEO Class does the same. We take them out into our community, and we bring them into these buildings. Now, as they've grown up, they've been riding around town, they see all this stuff, they don't pay any attention, they have no clue what goes on here or here down the street. And when we bring them in and give them an opportunity to see what's going on, the grass is always greener somewhere else. They all want to leave and go find a nice big job, but they don't realize what they've got, what we do right in our own backyard. And I think these classes both open those doors. And in that respect, educate them and give them an opportunity to see there's something here for me, which they would not have known, otherwise.
Thank you so much, Mike. Ken?
And I agree that these kids are given opportunities that you joked about before that we wish we would have had, but it opens their eyes. Okay? Sometimes we look through the curtain and the curtain's only this wide. It's only this far open. Well, construction trades and CEO opens that curtain. And these businesses are very proud of what they do. They love telling their stories. Yeah. My nephew works at one of the businesses that construction trades goes to, and he thoroughly loves when those students come to that business. When businesses that we go to, the businesses love it. They love showcasing, and it opens their eyes, and our kids will never drive by these businesses again and go, oh yeah, that's just a dry cleaners. Or that's just a place they pour concrete, because they know and they have an understanding of what goes on and the importance of that to the community.
Thank you very much, Kent. Craig?
Paul Harvey used to say, and now for the rest of the story, so to speak. And the rest of the story is, if you're an industry, you're a company, a warehouse company, whatever type of company you are, if you're looking to expand, consider Effingham County. Let us show you what we can do. Let us show you how we can come together as a community, how we can overcome the obstacles that are put before us based on the state of Illinois and other things. We're different. We can make things happen. We are proactive. We are excited. We have programs in place. We have incentives that we can talk about and work with. And I think you'll be very happy if you decide on coming to City of Effingham or Effingham County.
Thank you, Craig. And Jeff?
I would just want to reiterate just that it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be able to watch the efforts and successes of these collaborative efforts and how they energize our community. Just like it's a privilege and a pleasure to be able to network with Eastern Illinois University as a regional asset and WEIU. It's just a real blessing to have those types of assets that we can lean on and try to help take not only this region but our state forward.
City Spotlight is on YouTube. Past episodes can be viewed on East Central Illinois towns that have been featured on City Spotlight. Just search on YouTube City Spotlight with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the recent episodes of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.